You ever wonder if your beats are good? Like you think they're good, but you don't know if they really are good? What makes a good beat a good beat? Why are some beats whack? You want people to take you more serious as a music producer. You want artists to throw their money at you to buy your beats because they're so good. But you want to know how to make them better, how to make your beats better. You may need some tips. How about five tips? Cracka Lack, BusyWorksBeats. We're here to help you.
Cracka Lack on the track.
How to make better rap beats in FL Studio. Coming up.
Cracka Lack on the track.
What's up everyone, my name is Cracka Lack. Welcome back to Cracka Lack TV. In today's video, we're gonna talk about how to make better rap beats in FL Studio. So I've been making beats for over 16 years. I've made hundreds of whack beats over the years, and what made those beats whack beats? What happens is, at the time, those beats were the best beats that I could possibly make, and my ear wasn't good enough to realize that those beats weren't good. There's several factors that go into making a beat a good beat. So I put together a list of 5 tips to make your beats better. Watch this video to the end and use these 5 tips as like a checklist. Make sure you are doing these things so that way your beats can continue to get better and better over time. To help me out with this video, I have the YouTube music producer GOAT, BusyWorksBeats. He's helped over 600,000 music producers, and today we're here to help you. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to be notified for future uploads for more good ass content just like this right here. All right, you guys, tip number 1 is to use better sounds. When I started with FL Studio 15, 16 years ago, the sound selection was trash. So the beats that came out of it were trash. FL Studio got a really bad reputation because when you would tell people that you use FL Studio to make beats, they would assume that you use the stock sounds that come with FL Studio, so they would assume that your beats suck, just like the sounds that come with it. Nowadays, there's so many different dope drum kits, VSTs that you can use. They have way better sounds. I'm gonna show you guys an example. Okay, so right here I put together a drum loop using just some of the stock sounds that come with FL Studio, and you'll hear really quick that this isn't good.
What was that?
Now, if you use better sounds, these sounds I'm using right here are all from different drum kits that I've purchased. I would say that this drum loop sounds a whole lot better than the last one. Now, don't get me wrong, there are certain gems inside the stock sound that if you dig through, you can find some good sounds in there. But here's a melody that I just added, and this would be the not so good sound. Now doing that same exact melody, but this time with a better sound, it sounds like this. Another tip is when you're making a beat and you're going through doing your sound selection, once you put your melody down, try to swap out the sound. I do that a lot. It would be going just like this, where I have the melody. But basically, try out other sounds doing the same melody until you find the sound that you like. Also, you can combine multiple sounds together to create a new sound.
Another mistake you guys make is thinking that the headphones alone are going to solve the problem. You can literally have the same exact model of headphones and get a 3 dB difference in response. That means if you buy the same exact pair of Sennheiser HD600s, and if you buy the same exact pair of Sennheiser HD598s, you could have a different sound than what I'm hearing. 3 dB is a massive, massive difference, and SonarWorks has done a lot of research about this. So it doesn't matter the exact headphones you buy, you're still getting a distorted reality of what your mix is doing. That's why you have to listen in multiple environments. This room is an environment. It has barely any acoustic treatment. We have some bass traps in the corners, but they don't really do anything. You know, these speakers are built for certain size rooms. So you guys have to realize the easiest way to understand how to mix is listen in your studio, listen in your car, listen on your phone, and listen to the commonalities between each environment. Another trick when you're mixing, here are the sweet spots. I've done a lot of research behind this. Just boost at 70 hertz for vibrating your 808 so that people feel it, almost like when your phone vibrates, you can feel it. 60 and 70 hertz are responsible for that. 100 hertz and 200 hertz are responsible for a nice crispy bass sound, but it doesn't really vibrate, you can't really feel it. 2K is good for vocals, 5K is good for vocals to make them stand out. and 8K is good for vocals to make them stand out. And lastly, if you have a female vocal or a deep male vocal like myself, try boosting at 12K. It's gonna open up the vocal and make it sound a lot nicer and a lot more crisp. So those are your EQ hotspots and mistakes that you guys make while you're mixing. So let's hop into FL and let's get hands-on and get straight to these mixing techniques.
So the first step right now is I'm going to turn up my headphones and turn everything else down. This is going to increase what's called headroom. Now another trick for mixing is using the Fruity Soft Clipper. So put this on your kicks, your snare, just turn the threshold all the way up. So you want to crank your kick with the channel volume in your channel rack. Run it through a soft clipper. Go to your wrench tool, go to level adjustment, volume, and just keep pushing it until you can feel the kick. So it's not that you have the wrong kick, it's just that you're not pushing your kick hard enough.
All right, tip 3 is when your beats are too simple and they don't have enough going on, or if they're too complex and there's too much going on, remember that when you're making a beat for rappers, remember that their voice is also an instrument that has to fit in there somewhere. So you gotta leave room to give them their freedom to do what they do. All right, so right here I'm gonna play you guys an example of a beat that is too simple.
Cracka Lack on the track.
Now the opposite scenario is, let's say you lay down a melody, then you pull up some more sounds and you're thinking, oh, let me play another melody with that. So you do that. Then you think of, let me think of a counter melody I can add. So you add that. Then you think of, let me think of a lead I can put in the hook. So you do that. And then you keep thinking of another sound, another sound, another sound. You keep cramming it full of all these different melodies and sounds going on. You don't leave no room for the artist to do what they do. So keep that in mind when you're making beats specifically for an artist to get on. Leave room for artists. Don't have too much and don't have too little. You gotta have that sweet spot.
Another thing is music theory. So I want to bring you guys over here to understand this. With music theory, when you're making tracks, it's just like a guitar. So if I pick up this guitar and I don't tune it, I could potentially be out of key. This is like going into any store and just starting to play guitar. Now luckily I tuned this guitar, so tuning is the first step. You're always going to sound out of key if you're out of tune. So tuning is first, then you find the scale and the key. Well, let's hop over into FL Studio and I'll show you the hands-on application of all these tricks combined. Shout out to Cracka Lack for having me on this channel. This is gonna be a major gem drop, so I need you to smash that like button for the both of us.
All right, so let's look into some music theory tips. Again, this is the track we made in how to make your beats 2 times faster. That'll be on my channel. We're all familiar with keys and scales, great. But just like when you pick up a guitar, you can't just start playing, you have to tune the guitar. Here's the track. Let's find like 1 chord melody. Okay, so this one right here. And what you can do is open up a plugin like Scaler if you're not familiar with scales and how to understand scale codes. And you just type in the notes that sound good with the notes that you're hearing. Okay, and then you have D minor. So great that you know the scale D minor, but the problem is what happens if the sample you have is not, it's pitched slightly sharp or slightly flat. And that happens a lot, especially with older music. So let's kind of pitch this up kind of in between notes. Drake does this a lot in a lot of his records. So this is used in modern music. Now, if I play those same notes, sounds out of key. It's the same exact notes. So every note is 100 cents away. So let's say it's about half. It's in between the notes, literally 50 cents away. You don't have to memorize all this stuff, but just I'm playing the same exact notes in the scale. Sounds like I'm in the wrong key. We're in D minor. The sample's in D minor. Why is it that? It's because of the tuning, okay? So let's get into how you can find the tuning of a sample. You can pull up a plugin like Guitar Rig. Anything that has a tuner or like a tune fork tone, which is a sine wave, which only has 1 frequency, whereas sawteeth and square waves have multiple frequencies in them. So the first thing you need to do is find a note that sounds similar to the notes that are playing. In this case, it was D. And then what you do is you change your reference pitch, and it tells you, okay, middle A is 452 hertz, and that means you need to pitch your instruments up. Now that you understand that your song is at 452 hertz tuning in auto-tune, what you would do is go to the scale detune and pull this up to 452, and this will pull the proper notes. A lot of people don't do that with their vocals, so their vocals sound super out of key. Next thing you want to learn with music theory is how to create chords, literally with your eyes closed.
Then you simply count up your keyboard note by note to finish out the chord code. So we're at 0, wherever you land is considered 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now you have a minor chord as long as you can count. And you can teach anybody the chord codes. I've taught young people, I've taught old people. Okay, so all we gotta do to play a melody now is just add G down in the lower octaves.
So let's open up Hermes, which is my plugin. Shout out to everybody who supported this plugin. It just came out. And let's load a bell patch. So you have to go to the front, go to detune and pull this up until it gets closer to that note. And now let's say you wanted to build a chord on top of that. Dum, 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 dum. You could use what are called chord codes. So every chord has a code. Wherever you land is 0. Then you count up your keyboard until you finish the chord code. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you have D minor. Now, it doesn't mean that every single melody note needs a chord. Scales give you moods. So if you're going with a minor scale, you're going with the more sadder vibes. If you're going with major, usually it's a more happy vibe. And there's other scales that deal with other emotions as well. So each scale has its own emotion that you could pull from.
All right, the last and final tip is tip 5, and that's gonna be sequencing. A common mistake with amateur beats is not having your beats in 4-bar increments. Like let's say you got a 4-bar intro, 8-bar hook, 12-bar verse, 8-bar hook. What I like to do is every 4 bars change the beat up. So whether you bring a sound in or you take a sound out or you add some drums, add the hi-hats, make the hi-hats come out, drop the bass. You can do lead ups and add different effects in your transitions. Like at the end of the verse, drop the beat out. At the end of the hook, do something different to the beat to change it up. I'm gonna show you guys something right here that I like to do to give my beats more bounce. So right here I have a 4-bar intro and then it jumps right into the hook. The first 4 bars of the hook, there is no kick, and then you'll hear right here I drop out the hi-hats and the percussion to let the bass ride, and then the kick comes in. And from sequencing it like this, it makes the drop sound that much harder. I'll play what I'm talking about.
Cracka Lack on the track.
All right, you guys, I hope you found this video helpful. Again, if you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to be notified for future uploads. Me and BusyWorksBeats also collabed on another video that's on his channel. I'm gonna put a link on the screen right here. Make sure you go check that out. I'm also gonna pin a link in the comments and put a link in the description. In that video, we collabed on a beat where I made the melody. I sent that over to him. He added the drums. The beat came out really dope. So go watch that video right now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cracka Lack TV, we out.